and we'll see if Alek Manoah gets the old Windsor welcome. Who would know better than Windsor's finest? Our next guest, Joe Siddall, Sportsnet analyst. Joe, how are you?
The Windsor welcome. I've never had that before, Blake. Thank you.
No, yeah, it's for you. I'm hoping that there's a Windsor welcome for Alek Manoah on Friday as well. Obviously, Blue Jays fans travel very well. I was going to say Manoah to a little later, but you as a Windsor guy, you got to be pretty fired up for this weekend now.
That should be a lot of fun, and there will be a lot of Windsorites at those games this weekend too. Many Blue Jays fans travel well, but a lot of Windsorites. I would say it's a little more Detroitish because of our geographical presence in Windsor. I grew up a Tigers fan myself, but still a lot of Blue Jays fans in that area as well, and there'll be a lot of blue in the crowd at Comerica.
Yeah, I would bet so. So what was your? We'll talk about last night's game in a little bit, but since we're on the Detroit thing and Manoah returning Friday to start here, what was your reaction when you first heard that news yesterday that it was going to be Friday? It wasn't going to be post All-Star break. It wasn't going to be after another minor league start or two. He's got the 2 starts, one at FCL, one at AA, and he's back.
I was surprised. I think, especially the way John Schneider presented it. He was sitting talking to all of us and going over the guys like Ryu and Pop and what guys are doing, and Simber's here. And then he just finished by saying, and Alek Manoah will start Friday in Detroit. So that was pretty comical. But, yeah, I think all of us were kind of taken aback. I just thought it'd be longer. I thought with whatever it is that he's dealing with, mechanically or otherwise, that it was going to take a little bit longer, more than just the 2 starts that we had heard about. And I don't want to say that we saw, because I didn't see anything. And I guess we just trust that the people that did see him trust that stuff will play at the next level up in the big leagues. And, yeah, it's Detroit. It's not a great offense, but still it's the big leagues, and it's the bigger stage. So my first reaction is this better go well, because my thing all along was that if you ever bring them back too soon and it doesn't go well, what then? What next? And that's the trouble. But obviously they feel comfortable in what they saw. So I'm just looking forward to watching, because until I see things with my own eyes, it's hard for me to really say it's right or wrong. But when the people that are in charge think it's the right time, then it's the right time. We'll find out Friday.
I'm with you, Joe. I thought it was a little quick. I thought there's some risk here of, like you said, what if it doesn't go well? And, if you, like, let's say he gets sent back down, it doesn't go well, he gets sent back down to the lab, and then he has another good start at AA on his way back up. Like, I don't know how you build it back up. I think you have to push the timeline back a little further. It is not a very good offense in Detroit now. They've been better over the last 30 days or so. They're a team that can take some walks, but they are very righty heavy, so you don't have to worry about the platoon stuff as much. And then if you look ahead to the schedule coming out of the All-Star break, it's Arizona and San Diego, and then the Dodgers not long after that. Do you think there's an element of they looked at the schedule and they wanted to have him get a not soft landing spot, because as you've hammered home of late on Blue Jays Central and on the broadcast, there are no easy opponents when you're not playing good baseball. But the Tigers compared to, say, the Diamondbacks or the Padres, do you think there was an element of that in this decision?
Well, there certainly could be. I would say yes to that. I don't know whatsoever, but I think if you get one of those first, maybe it's a way of him getting back, getting his feet wet. And we know, Alek, he's going to be amped up, and rightfully so, to be back and try to prove that things have changed and that he's a lot better. So why not do it against a lesser offense in Detroit rather than just come right out against the Diamondbacks or something like that? So I think that could have something to do with it. But more importantly than anything, it's watching him. And I mentioned on the broadcast last night, it's got to be tricky for organizations when they promote players, because as a pitcher, you can probably tell a little bit more accurately because the ball is in his hand. You can see what the velocity is doing. You can see what the movement's doing. How's the slider spinning, the delivery, all those things. Whereas with hitters and you promote them, if somebody's doing really well in AA, you can say, oh, well, that's AA pitching. So, those pitchers might not necessarily have the secondary pitches or be able to pitch behind in the count like more advanced pitchers. So it is a little more tricky. But obviously with what they saw in Alek, regardless of who he was facing, because let's not kid ourselves, it's AA, and that's a long, long ways from the major leagues when you're facing hitters.
Yeah, it is a long way, as was the FCL, where things didn't go nearly as well, of course. So, Joe, you mentioned, you can't really judge until you see things with your own eyes, because it was AA, it was FCL. You need to see Alek Manoah on the hill on Friday. What is the foremost thing you're looking for? Where obviously we're gonna take in every part of that start, but what is, if there was a 1A and a 1B of things you're looking for as positive indicators from Manoah on Friday, what would those be?
Well, even after we just said it's Detroit's lineup and, it's not one of the best in the league, but I watch hitters. As a catcher, I watch and get a feel from how the hitters are reacting. And we know over the course of Alek's two really good seasons, when you watch hitters, they're not comfortable at bats. And when you watch him even miss his spots, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. He doesn't dot the edges of the zone, right? He lets it go. And I think it's that big body deception that is a real big advantage for Alek, especially righty on righty. Righties that are just, and I've talked to some right-handed hitters that have faced him. They said, you just can't pick up the ball. Now that's over the course of the last two seasons. So I'm going to look at the reactions of hitters. If he throws that sinker, four-seamer, doesn't matter, that fastball, even in the middle of the zone area. Well, I think this year we've been seeing a lot of comfortable swings. And in the past, and what we hope to see moving forward here, are more uncomfortable swings. The foul balls, swinging late and fouling it off over the first base dugout, maybe on pitches that you look like, how did he miss that? So those are the things I think that are really important. And also the spin on his slider and how it's breaking, because that obviously plays so well with his fastball. And when he's good, he's burying that thing down. He's burying it down away. And we saw that very inconsistent this year. So there are a lot of things there. But the hitter can tell you an awful lot. I do look at the radar gun just like everybody else, but more importantly, if it can be, he doesn't have to, he's not a guy that's 97, 98, right? And he doesn't have to be. At least he wasn't when he was really, really good. So you watch the reactions of hitters, and if it's 93 right there and they're fouling off, that's probably a good sign.
It would be a good sign. And so the other trickle down from this is that, at least for now, we're done with the bullpen days. Obviously, Trevor Richards filled in as admirably as anyone could have hoped. Bowden Francis looked pretty good. But Joe, having seen a couple of those now, having seen the Jays juggle a 4-man rotation and lose extra rest for guys here and there, have you had enough of bullpen days for the time being?
Well, I think everybody has, right? And not that it hasn't gone okay, because Richards and even Bowden Francis was great in his last time out too, but it's hard to operate like that. Mm-hmm. And, it is only the start of July. There's still a lot of baseball to be played, and to think you're going to, I know there are guys coming back, but who knows? I'm going to hold back until I see Ryu come back and see how he's pitching. I mean, it's the guy coming off Tommy John surgery. So I don't think we're necessarily getting vintage Ryu when he gets back, right? We'll see. Hopefully it is, but that's hard to expect. But yeah, and especially with the way that, the guys aren't getting any younger there. Gosman and Bassitt in the rotation, and we've seen they're better with that extra day. So they need Alek back for sure, but they need Alek to be a different version of Alek, and that's going to help the rotation. And we've talked extensively about the impact that has on the bullpen. It's amazing how baseball works, because it's such an everyday sport. If your starting pitchers go deep, you keep your bullpen somewhat rested. That's not necessarily the case all the time. When you're scoring more runs, you can help keep your leverage guys in the bullpen rested. And all of these things, it's kind of a really cloudy picture for this team right now. Hopefully last night's a good indication of moving forward and getting that combination of starting pitching, relief help, and the lineup scoring some runs.
Yeah, the lineup scoring some runs. They put 4 on the board. It's better than nothing. And Lucas Giolito is a pretty good starter who looked very sharp last night. But 4 runs is not going to be enough sometimes. We did see, though, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. come through in a pretty big moment with that go-ahead home run. It was funny how, you and Dan are discussing how Vlad handles pitches up in the zone better than he does low. And then the catcher is set up very low, and Joe Kelly misses his spot high, and Vlad reaches out and takes it the other way. What are you seeing from Vlad lately? I know you have been less quick to jump on the, hey, Vlad is, moving in the right direction, because you haven't always been seeing the right mechanical things and the right approach things. Last 10 games or so, are you starting to feel a little bit better about Vlad at the plate?
Well, I think it's just because he is so darn talented, and I keep saying that because you have to preface it that way. He can just do things that other people can't, and we probably saw one of them last night, taking a slider up in the zone and just punching it over the right field fence. And most human beings, that ball probably goes off the fence or it's caught by the right fielder. So he can just do special things. I thought what was really impressive last night, and something that I think is going to be probably just as positive moving forward, Vlad, was his base hit in the fourth inning.
Mm-hmm.
He took a slider down and away, and I talked about that hinge at the hips getting down there. And part of the reason probably why he doesn't handle or drive the ball down as much. But if he's doing that on sliders down in the zone, that's a very good sign too. Now, it was a ground ball that went into right field, but still those are the ones that we've seen a lot of the rollovers because he doesn't get down to get to that pitch. So that was a really good sign. The home run was obviously a good sign. And I think the best sign, last night I said it too, it's not just that they got a late home run to win a baseball game, because they haven't really been getting that. And I think we all knew or felt coming out of spring training that that's the way this team was built. They were going to hit really well, but also for some power. And we just haven't seen that. But the fact that it was Vladdy too, that's a huge plus, because if he can do that a little bit more often in the second half of the season, that's going to go a long ways to getting this offense back on track.
Absolutely, it would. You sprinkle a couple home runs in there, whether from Vlad or anyone in this lineup, and some of those runners in scoring position issues look a little differently. Some of those, zeros become ones become twos. So with respect to Vlad, I'm curious if you put much stock into this. So I saw someone tweet yesterday, it was Jonah Birnbaum of The Score, tweeted Vlad's OPS against bad teams and his OPS against good teams. And obviously he had the 2 home runs against Oakland. He homered against Chicago yesterday. This, to me, it can get pretty noisy, and bad teams have good pitchers and good teams have bad pitchers. Do you put any stock into something like that he has had a little more success against lesser teams?
Well, I would. I would, because good hitters hit good pitching, right? Like the really good hitters in the game hit good pitching, and that was Vladdy. Of course, he hit everything. And I think when you play those lesser teams that you're referring to, they have fewer quality arms. And when the quality goes down, when you're facing an average starting pitcher or a bullpen that struggles like the White Sox, they don't execute pitches as well. And maybe when you're playing the Astros or the Yankees bullpen or people that every hitter, I've talked about it extensively, every hitter has a weakness here or there, whether it's up in the zone or whether it's the breaking ball or whether it's chasing with 2 strikes. But I think good pitchers, good teams with good game plans that have good pitchers are guys that can have good stuff, but they execute those pitches. And we saw, for example, we talked about the elevated fastball. We've talked about it a lot. And I thought the Giants did a pretty good job of it. We talked about it again with Brandon Belt, right? His former team, they know him well, but when you execute the pitches against a hitter's weakness, it makes it very difficult. Well, the lesser teams probably have fewer quality arms that can execute those pitches, so they'll miss spots. So I think it goes hand in hand, and that's why good hitters probably should hammer the lesser teams with not as good pitching staffs, not as many quality arms. But yeah, it makes it much more difficult and tougher when you face better pitching because they execute better.
And this has been kind of a team-wide thing where obviously they're 7-20 in the American League East, and they are doing a lot of damage against non-American League East teams. 39-20 outside of the division. Joe, I know you spoke pretty passionately on Sunday on Blue Jays Central after the game about the fact that the Blue Jays can't look at anyone as a lighter part of the schedule right now. Even the White Sox and the Tigers heading into the All-Star break, that's a patch of schedule where if you're playing your best baseball, that looks like a pretty nice way to head into the All-Star break. With the Jays not playing as consistently and as strong a brand of baseball as we would like, what do you look for in a 6-game set like this heading into the break that tells you, this team is taking the right level of urgency even against lesser competition?
Well, I think we saw it all last night. We saw a good start by Bassitt. I'm sure he'd love that one pitch back, but it's a very dangerous hitter in Luis Robert Jr. that hit it out. But the late home run by Vladdy, like that's what we're missing, right? That hasn't been around. And then I thought Pearson coming in to pitch to the bottom of the order, and this is all by design. And I think Schneider and Pete Walker and their staff, that this is how they design things. And use Pearson for the lower leverage at the bottom of the order, and he cruises through 1, 2, 3, great. And then you hand it over to Swanson again at the top. And Eric's pitched in a lot of leverage, and I'm sure you saw the graphic we had on the screen last night. Like, he's pitched a lot, and he is going to fly by his career and appearances. So those are things you're going to have to watch over the course of the second half of the season. And as good as he has been, it's going to be hard to ask him to keep doing this for 3 more months. So we'll see. And then it sets up for Jordan, and Jordan just cruise through. And once again, it's a lineup that's not great, and especially the bottom half of the lineup. And it was just good to see Jordan spin the ball the way he did. But I mean, that's what happens when you face lesser hitters too, right? It works both ways. So he made pretty light work of that. But I think that's the perfect game for the Blue Jays, right? Not perfect, because obviously, like, 7 runs on 14 hits would have been perfect, but it was enough. They got the late home run from Vladdy, which again I feel is very critical. Good start, good job with the bullpen. But once again, those are things you should be doing if you are not just a playoff contender, but a team that wants to go deep in the playoffs. This is what you should be doing, and more, to teams like the Chicago White Sox.
What did you make of Romano going to the slider almost exclusively? I think he only threw 2 fastballs in that appearance. I know, the fastball had been hit hard on the weekend. That was probably more because he left it middle than it was anything to do with the actual fastball. But he really leaned on the slider in that one. 11 of his 13 pitches. What did you make of that decision?
Well, he's got 2 very good pitches. And, I'll be first. We didn't talk about it after the game on Sunday, but I had no problem with the first pitch fastball to Verdugo, because I'll be the first one to say, remember last year I talked about a lot. He got into such a pattern of throwing those first pitch sliders, so lefties could kind of sit on it. You don't want to get into a pattern. And I'll trust Jordan's fastball. I mean, you should trust his fastball, but Verdugo hit it out of the park. Yes, it was middle, and he hit it out of the park. I call that somewhat unfortunate. If he would have gone first pitch slider there and he got hit out of the park, I would have gone crazy. So I have to live with that result. And then you never know. Maybe that's lingering in his head, and he's thinking, I want to spin it more tonight against the White Sox. It could just be the order, too. I've talked to Jordan before about that. Sometimes he just feels it depends on the hitters. And you could see, I think I was talking to a couple of those at-bats. It's like you just got to stay with the slider here. Like, I wouldn't normally throw 4 or 5 sliders in a row, but when a hitter looks like some of them did, you just keep throwing it. And that's what he did. So it could have just been a feel thing, too. I'm not sure he came into that game thinking, I'm throwing a ton of sliders tonight. You just kind of get a feel as you go from the first hitter to the second hitter, and that's just the way it worked. And when they're chasing like that. I mean, he was locating them all down there, but they were helping by chasing. So just keep throwing it.
With respect to Bassitt, you mentioned the one pitch he'd like to have back, a sweeper that caught too much of the, middle low, but kind of right where Luis Robert could take it for 450 feet. But Bassitt, generally, that pitch aside, has had 2 pretty solid bounce back starts here. I know that he's probably a guy that's going to go up and down a little bit because, he throws so many pitches and you might lose one thing and have to find another. You like the response you've seen from him the last couple starts after that stretch of poor ones?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was funny last night because I think it was the Roberts' first at-bat in the first inning. He may have started him out with a breaking ball, and it was the slow one. And I kind of made it a point to Dan too. I said, let's just keep that in our heads here, because that's a pitch that he threw real slow. And it's almost like you do that right away. And I don't know this at all, but I'm thinking maybe he does that right away. First pitch to Robert of the night. So now it's in his head all night long. So he's always got to honor that, and maybe that'll help the sinker work better against him. You're always thinking that second and third at bat. Well, it wasn't the slow curveball. It was that, whatever he calls that sweeper thing, and it was just kind of hanging over the middle of the plate, and Robert was all over it. But it makes you wonder, though, if maybe it worked backwards. Like maybe, Robert was thinking about it all right, so much so that he might have been sitting on it. But who knows? This is what good hitters do, and that's why it's such a chess match all the time. But yeah, I thought Bassitt was down in the zone more last night. We've talked before about his sinker is such a great pitch for him, but it's a guy that uses the sinker up in the zone more. And it seemed like he was really working the bottom half of the zone more, and he was getting a lot of ground ball outs. I think he had like 9 ground ball outs, including the double play ball that Bo and Witt turned. That was a little bit maybe different to me, but overall pretty darn good. And it just, you had a feeling, or I had a feeling going in, that this should be a good day for Bassitt with only 2 left-handed batters. I mean, him and Barrios, keep the left-handed batters away from those guys, and life is pretty good, right? So the White Sox, they had Sheets on the bench. They've only got 3 potential lefties, so that should be an advantage for Barrios tonight too. And Bassitt did pretty well against the righties.
Yeah, and Bassitt will get another matchup just like that on the weekend before the All-Star break, because the Tigers only employ 2 lefties as well, and not world beaters in Zach McKinstry and Kerry Carpenter there. So some potential there to keep the momentum rolling. Joe Siddall, thanks for taking the time out this morning, man. I hope, the rest of this series, of course, but Detroit, that's a big one for you. Hope you have a blast this weekend.
Little homecoming. Thanks, Blake. And then I'll have a few days at home for the break.